Another thing that I've been passionate about over the last number of years, well, not so much the last couple, was Zack Snyder content because I do believe Zack Snyder is a very, very good filmmaker. Is he a great filmmaker? No. Is he a filmmaker that is up there with Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, and the greats? No, no. But he is a good filmmaker. I think visually he is fantastic. I think he is one of the greatest visual storytellers that there's ever been. But that's about where it ends. I think from a script standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, he struggles quite a bit. Well, he decided to make his own move over at Netflix. He signed a mega deal with Netflix and decided to make a couple of universes. His first universe was the Army of the Dead universe, which Army of the Dead was not a terrible film. It wasn't great. It wasn't the best of his zombie films. Dawn of the Dead back in 2002 was definitely the better of his two zombie flicks, but it wasn't horrendous. And I am looking forward to seeing that universe continued if he does continue it. He's supposed to be, but if he does, I'm looking forward to him continuing it. It's out of the two universes that he started at Netflix, that's definitely the one I'm more interested in. But then he made Rebel Moon, and there was part one and part two. And I at first was curious. My interest was piqued. This was going to be the Star Wars killer. This was supposed to be a Star Wars movie. This was an idea that he pitched to Lucasfilm back in 2011 or 2012. This was an idea that he had for Star Wars. And I know he's a Star Wars fan. He's talked about it. So my interest was piqued. Being a Star Wars fan, I was like, okay, this is not a bad idea. Let's do this. Let's go for it, Zach. Let's see what you would have done with a Star Wars. Let's see what you would do, especially with how bad Star Wars is today. I knew that he had to adapt it into not being a Star Wars. So that was going to be interesting. How would he adapt the bits and pieces that would have been Star Wars into not being Star Wars? Okay, I understand that was going to be different, and that's hard to do because you then have to establish a universe that is brand new. The beauty of pitching a movie for Lucasfilm for Star Wars is you have an established universe. You don't have to make up all that stuff. But in this case, he had to go back and create a universe. He had to start from scratch, essentially. You have the story, but then you have to create everything around it that isn't there. So that did make me a little bit worried. It absolutely did. Then we got the first trailer, and I was like, okay, I'm not completely sold on it. I'm not. Then we got another trailer, and I was less excited. It was like every single time something came out for that first film, that first part one, just less and less interested. And then part one came out, and it was a bad movie. Oh, it was bad. But everybody said, look, part two, that's the real, that's all action, all action. You're gonna love it. Part two came out. That was bad too. That was bad as well. The use of slow motion, the horrible Zack Snyder tropes that he uses. Part two was just bad as well. And I didn't understand why people were so excited about this film. Like there were a group of people, the Snyder fans, the loyalists of Snyder, loved the Rebel Moon films. They did. And I didn't get it. I don't understand why people liked them so much. I just didn't understand it. Everybody tried to explain to me. Everybody said, well, that's not his true vision because Netflix wanted him to make PG-13 versions, but he wanted to make rated R versions. So there's rated R versions coming. Well, this, people, is the rated R trailer for Rebel Moon. This right here. Now, we got robot boobies in this. Robot boobies in Rebel Moon. So exciting because that's edgy. That's edgy. I still don't see it. I don't. There's more blood. There's more gore. The problems with the originals, with the PG-13 versions, weren't the lack of robot boobs, weren't the lack of sex, weren't the lack of blood, gore, fighting, slow motion, because let me tell you, there's plenty of slow motion in the first 2 iterations, the PG-13 iterations. There's plenty of slow motion. The problems with those movies were the story was just horribly written, the pacing was terrible, the acting was horrendous. It was just bad all around. And you think that a rated R version of these films that add robot boobs, blood, gore, sex is going to make it better. The problem is Netflix played all of you. Netflix basically did this. Netflix basically said, look, Zack Snyder has a following. You know what really got him a following was the whole Snyder Cut thing. Why don't you make Rebel Moon? Hey man, look. We're not telling you to make PG-13 movies, but you know what you should do? You should make some PG-13 movies, and then we're gonna say we're gonna make director's cuts, Snyder cuts as well. They'll come out later. That'll get the fans excited. And that's what Netflix and Snyder did. They played his fans, they played the audience for his true vision. Now, whether it was Zach's idea, oh, geez, I made balloons go off. Stupid MacBooks or Macs. Um, whether it was Zach's idea or Netflix's idea, I don't know. I don't know whose idea it was, but I can tell you this is they purposely played the fans because because they wanted to try and expand the draw of these movies to get more eyes on these movies on Netflix. The first movie had so many views. The second movie saw fewer views. These movies are going to see even less views. Nobody liked these movies. Even the Zack Snyder fans were not fans of these movies. And that's the truth. They're not good. Again, robot boobs, alien sex, blood, gore, more slow motion isn't going to make movies that have bad story, bad pacing, bad acting any better. Those are fundamental issues with the films. It's just not going to fix it. I'm sorry, it's just not going to. You know, people then come at me and tell me, well, Batman vs. Superman was re-edited, and look how good the director's cut of that was. The Ultimate Edition was. But you don't understand. That wasn't a bad script. That wasn't bad pacing. That wasn't bad acting. That was just edited poorly the first time around. And when it was re-edited properly to Zach, how Zach wanted it, it was a better put together film, as was Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, I agree that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a little bit too long, has too much slow motion in it. You could cut out some of that slow motion, probably cut out some scenes still, and shorten that movie by a half hour, 40 minutes, and it's a better movie. But again, it's still better than the 2017 Justice League. That's what I'm getting at. Rebel Moon is just not good. And they're trying to sit here, and you see people like, you know, some of the cult people, holy crap, let's go. Why? Why are you excited? Why do you settle for crap? Why? I like this. Why are you incapable of making a good 2-hour film, bro? These director cuts are getting ridiculous now. And then you have something, oh, the Enemy King's back. Rah! It's just it's pathetic. Pretty excited, cannot wait. And they show the picture of the robot boobs because robot boobs are important in films. That is just everybody keeps talking about the robot boobs. What an epic trailer. We'll definitely watch it again. This looks phenomenal. Why is this a thing? Why don't we just get your cut to begin with? That is the question that nobody is asking. Why didn't we just get this to begin with? Because the PG-13 movies sucked. They were horrendous. So if this is your true vision, Zach, why didn't you just release this first? And then if it did well and you wanted the people that can't watch rated R movies to see them, then you release like Deadpool did. What was it? Deadpool 2? They released Deadpool 2. It was a rated R film. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to release a PG-13 version. That way kids can watch it. Why didn't you do it that way, Zach? Why didn't you do it that way, Netflix? I tell you, I don't know. I just, it gets, I sit here constantly and I honestly, I watch these fans just get so enamored with Zack Snyder and I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't think I'm ever going to understand it honestly because like I said, he's a great visual storyteller, a visual filmmaker. He can put because the visuals in this look great. Don't get me wrong on that one. That's not great looking. That just looks flat. It does. It looks flat to me. I don't like that. There's some cool looking scenes in this, cool looking moments, but for the most part, storytelling wise, he's just not great. I say this all the time. If Zach can be reined in, if he can find a writer, if he can find somebody who he can work with that can really rein him in with a story and work with him, kind of like they did with Batman v Superman, kind of like they did with Justice League, Chris Terrio did with that, and really rein him in. And even Zack Snyder's Justice League was just too much. They could rein him in even more with that. I, I think he's got gold there. And don't let him build these universes. Don't let him build his own universe because that's where things get messy. His mind is too big. His mind is too big. And that's just unfortunate. But let me know, what did you think? Did you check out the Rebel Moon director's cuts trailers? Comes out in just a few weeks, folks. A couple weeks. Did you check it out? Are you going to watch the director's cuts? What is it going to be, like 4 hours long or whatever? I don't know how long it is. It's going to be ridiculous. What it is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But are you going to check it out? Are you going to watch director's cuts of Rebel Moon? Is it worth seeing? Robot boobies, alien sex, more blood, more slow motion. I know if I end up watching, I'm probably going to fall asleep. Because I can't. I don't know. I'm going to pose it to my viewers, to the people on X, those who follow me, just like I did with the Acolyte. I will put up a poll. I will put up a poll and say, should I watch Rebel Moon director's cuts? And you all told me to watch Acolyte, so I did it. I watched it. I will do it with Rebel Moon as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. If I should watch it, if I should not. Are you going to watch it? Did you watch the trailer? What did you think of the trailer? Do you think they should keep doing this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments